Hi guys, so you should have your text that I gave you in class today in front of you as you are watching and listening to this. You also need some type of writing utensil such as a highlighter or a colored pencil or something where you can highlight some of the information that we're going to talk about. Um, so we're going to get started. We're going to talk about the fall of Rome and specifically some of the causes that started the decline of the fall of Rome. Because we are going to do an activity tomorrow about some of the causes where you're going to organize and categorize some of the possible causes. So this is kind of a preview to get you guys set up for that. Okay, so here we go. I will try to tell you when to highlight something, but if something comes across that you think might be important, go ahead and highlight it. All right, so the decline of Rome. Before spring break, we left off with the good emperors, and we talked about Marcus Aurelius. Well, after he died, his son Commodus, yeah, became emperor. Commodus was cruel and wasted money instead of ruling Rome. Commodus spent most of his time being a gladiator, because that's what all emperors should do, I guess. People did not like him much because he basically just spent his time wasting money, being cruel, and being a gladiator instead of actually ruling the empire. So his bodyguard actually killed him. And basically nearly a century of confusion and fighting followed. So this is kind of where it starts, kind of where as they say, the snowball starts rolling. So after Commodus, emperors called the Severans ruled Rome. Much of their time was spent putting down revolts and protecting Rome's borders. The Severans stayed in power by paying the army well, but they ignored the growing problems of crime and poverty. So you might underline crime and poverty because some of the causes that we'll probably look at tomorrow might fall into those categories. All right, political and social problems. When the last Severan ruler died in AD 235, Rome's government became very weak. For almost 50 years, army leaders fought with each other for the throne. During this time, Rome had 22 different emperors. So that's actually a lot of emperors in a very short amount of time, especially compared to some of the emperors that we have talked about in the past that have almost ruled for that long just by themselves. So poor leadership, that might be something you want to underline, was not Rome's only difficulty. Fewer Romans honored the old ideals of duty, courage, honesty. Many of the Roman soldiers kind of had that view on life. Many government officials took bribes. That's maybe something you can underline. As problems increased, talented people often refused to serve in the government. Many wealthy citizens even stopped paying taxes. Fewer people attended schools. Large number of the empire's people were now enslaved. We talked about the other day when we looked at the daily life of Romans how many people were actually enslaved at this time. Wealthy Romans supported slavery because it was a cheap way to get work done. So some of those things that you might want to underline are wealthy citizens stopped paying taxes, fewer people attended schools, enslavement or slavery, and you could even underline wealthy people supported slavery. Economic and military problems. During the AD 200s, Rome's economy weakened. Their government also weakened. Law and order broke down. Roman soldiers and invaders seized crops and destroyed fields. Farmers grew less food and hunger began to spread. So those last two sentences there, you probably won't want to underline about the Roman and soldiers and invaders seizing the crops. We'll be talking more about some of the invaders later, but this is kind of where all this starts. So farmers ended up growing less food, which meant starvation. Okay. As the economy worsened, people bought fewer goods, artisans produced less, shopkeepers lost money, many businesses closed, the number of workers dropped sharply. So that's kind of almost a domino effect, or that snowball that I was talking about. Just keeps going and going and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. They even had a plague, which is one of your vocab words, which is a plague is just a disease that spreads widely and quickly. And it just killed many people. The statistic here it gives in the book is it killed 1 out of every 10 people in the empire. So if you can fathom that, there was over 1 million people. That's a lot of people. Rome also began to suffer from inflation. Inflation is rapidly increasing prices. Inflation happens when money loses its value. So how did this happen? How was money losing its value? The weak economy meant fewer taxes were paid. With less money coming in, the Roman government could not afford to defend its territories and had to find a way to pay its soldiers and officials. One way for the government to get money it needed was to put less gold in its coins. By putting less gold into each coin, that just meant the money, the value of it was less. So it wasn't valued as much. People soon learned that coins did not have as much gold in them, and coins began losing value. Prices went up, and many people stopped using money altogether. And they began to barter. We talked about bartering and kind of what it was and how it's kind of like trading where they exchange goods, but there's not really any money involved. So it would be like, I have 2 chickens and you have 3 sacks of flour and I want 2 sacks of flour. I will give you 1 chicken for 2 sacks of flour. And if we come to that agreement, then we will barter with each other and we'll make that exchange. And everybody's happy. So some of the things that I think might be good for you to highlight in that section, definitely would be, that the economy worsened because of people buying fewer goods, because artisans produced less, the shopkeepers lost money, businesses closed, people weren't able to make the money or sell the goods that they used to. The plague would be a huge reason why that would kind of cause dysfunction in the empire. So many people were dying and suffering. Inflation, so their value of money was a lot less than it was before, and so people weren't paying taxes, and they started bartering, so that exchange of money kind of was not happening like it was, which those things was what was keeping Rome so wealthy. All right, we are going to talk about a general named Diocletian. He became emperor, and he really wanted to try to stop the decline of the empire. He could really see some of these things that were happening, all the things that you probably highlighted in the last couple sections. He recognized that and was really trying to stop it and trying to restore Rome as the empire that it was. So he came up with these reforms, which are just political changes to try to make things better. So he was trying to put things in place, rules or laws, to help make things better, to try to fix some of the problems that they were having. So because the empire was too large for one person, he divided it into 4 parts, named officials to rule these places, but he still kept authority over everything. Diocletian was also worked to boost the economy. To slow inflation, he issued rules that set the prices of goods, so there was a set price for everything so that the prices wouldn't keep rising and that inflation wouldn't keep happening. and that the wages were to be paid of workers. So no matter what you got paid, prices would stay the same, and that way people could stay in business and keep doing what they were doing, and help build the economy. So he ordered workers to remain at the same jobs until they died. Diocletian's reforms failed, the people ignored the new rules, and Diocletian did not have enough power to make them obey. So although he had a very good intentions, it just did not work out for him. And the people kind of just ignored him, and the empire just kept declining. So the next person is Constantine. And Constantine, after Diocletian retired, he was a general, and he became the empire in 312 AD. To aid the economy, Constantine issued several orders. So he also saw the decline and was trying to fix things. The sons of workers had to follow their fathers. So, for example, if you're the son of a farmer, you had to work the land of your father. If you're the son of a soldier, you had to serve in the army. Constantine's changes did not halt the empire's decline in the West. As a result, Constantine moved the capital from the dying Rome, so Rome was dying, it was declining, to a new city of Byzantium. There he built a forum and amphitheater called the Hippodrome, and many palaces. The city became known as Constantinople. This, as you can see up on the map, where the Byzantine Empire is, and Constantinople is not actually called Constantinople anymore. It is called Istanbul. So as much as Diocletian and Constantine tried to save the Roman Empire, they failed. And invaders, so while this was happening, while the empire was declining, invaders started to sweep into the empire. In the west, Germanic tribes raided Roman farms and towns. In the east, armies from Persia pushed into the empire's new territory. As fighting increased, the government could no longer enlist and pay Romans as soldiers, and it began using Germanic warriors in the army. Although these Germanic warriors tended to not be so loyal to Rome. So we will talk more about these invaders in the next couple days, but that just kind of gives you a look of the causes of the decline and kind of where it really starts to fall apart. So that's pretty much all I want you guys to read for now. If you'd like, you could read the biography on Constantine the Great and just give you a little bit more background information on him. And then if you would go back to Blackboard, and there is a video called The Fall of Rome video, I believe, underneath the folder of chapter 8 and 9, Ancient Rome. So if you go in there, and then at the very bottom there is the Fall of Rome video. If you'll watch that, it's like an 8-minute video, and it gives a really good overview of the decline and fall of Rome and some of the things that we've talked about and some of the things we will talk about. So that'll just give you a really good short overview of everything. And hopefully those two things will really help you prepare for the activity that we're going to do tomorrow. Thank you.